The Nightingale Conant Corporation is proud to present Take Charge of Your Life, The Winner's Seminar by Jim Rohn.
Some people have this incredible zest for life and an appetite for living well and doing well, and others seem to take the ho-hum attitude, let it slide, and hopefully it'll work out anyway. I don't know what the difference of that is. But it is exciting to watch people who are inspired. But I think the key to it all is self-motivation. Self-motivation. The guy says, boy, if somebody just come by and turn me on, hey, what if they don't show up? Right? You got to have a better plan for your life. But life is a challenge. What else is new? It is so important to articulate the challenge, the press, the push, because the push is on. But that's what life is all about, accepting the challenge, driving the roots deep, becoming as strong as possible, accepting everything that comes and making it into what you wish to make it, attempting your best, trying your hardest, thinking well, reading well, living well, struggling with it all. That's called the challenge. But that's what makes life worthwhile. That's where the value is. The struggle for high ideals to make something unique out of your life.
Ideas are life-changing. The ideas you grab hold of today and act upon can make all the difference in the fulfillment of your dreams. Just one good idea can take you to the top. And likewise, with a head full of the wrong ideas, you can become permanently sidetracked from success. If you want to take charge of your life, to really make the most of what it has to offer, you're listening to the right man with the right ideas. Jim Rohn knows the secrets of success. He has devoted his life to a study of the fundamentals of human behavior and personal motivation, and he can awaken a remarkable power for achievement in you. With his unique style of philosophy, wisdom, wit, and solid common sense, he provides practical information and motivation we can all profit from. In this program, you'll discover the 5 pieces of the life puzzle, a body of knowledge guaranteed to help you achieve your greatest goals. You'll hear the secrets of an effective communicator and learn the leadership skills you'll need to get ahead. Jim Rohn speaks from experience. He has an international reputation as a dynamic, effective public speaker and has conducted workshops on personal development all over the world. There's magic in the touch of human words. Jim Rohn credits much of his success to the teachings of his mentor, Earl Schoaf. And now he passes these ideas along to you. Let's join Jim Rohn as you take a front row seat at this live seminar, recorded especially for you.
Gosh, I think I've been here before. Nice to see all of you. It is a pleasure to have you here. We're going to talk about leadership skills for the 80s. One of the greatest experiences any of us can have is the experience of influence. To persuade somebody that we've got a good idea, or to persuade somebody to buy a product or consider a service. To be able to influence somebody to a way of life, a product, an idea, a company, a corporation, an enterprise. Influence is one of the greatest of life's experiences. And I would like to talk about that in this series of lectures. The chance to influence somebody else, their thinking, their future, maybe their lives, is a great experience. And all the way from being a manager to an executive to being a parent, we all have, in some respects, the chance and the opportunity to influence somebody else. Now, the key is to develop the skills to do it. There's one thing in doing it casually, another thing in doing it haphazardly, and the other is to do it on purpose by learning the skills. And that's what I'd like to cover in this series of lectures. Gathering the skills to help influence people to a way of thinking, to a product, to an idea, to an enterprise, or just to a better life. The skills of leadership. First of all, just in preliminary, let me just give you a list of what I hope you'll find in my series of lectures this time. Here's the list. Number one, sincerity. To accomplish something, especially in lecturing and listening, we have to start with sincerity. And I would assume you're sincere or you wouldn't be here. You wouldn't have made this effort and pushed past whatever you had to push past to get here. And I can appreciate that. So we first of all start with sincerity, and hopefully you'll find me sincere. I really have come by to bring value for your time and effort and consideration. But I've got a good note for you to make. Sincerity is not a test of truth. Sincerity is not a test of truth. We must not make the mistake of saying he must be right, he's so sincere. And the reason is, it's possible to be sincerely wrong. So we must not mistake sincerity for truth, because it is possible to be sincerely wrong. But hopefully you'll find me both sincere and truthful, because I wish to speak for you the truth. But you have to decide for yourself what is truth. But here's the key. Weigh sincerity on sincerity scales and weigh truth on truth scales. We don't weigh truth on sincerity scales. Next, I hope you'll find in our series two major things: ideas plus inspiration. If you want your life to change, here's the source of it all: ideas plus inspiration. Now, ideas are not that far away. In fact, I've got a good phrase for you to consider. This will serve you well for the rest of your life. Everything you need is within reach. Everything you need is within reach. The ideas you need for life change or business change is within reading reach. It's within listening reach. There's probably a library not too far from you. The problem is, right, there's a library there, but most people drive by. Very few drive in. Poor Andrew Carnegie, right, set up all these libraries across the country thinking everybody would stop by. Saying, no, everybody's going to drive by. He thought sure they were going to stop in. Do you know how many people own a library card in the United States? 3%. And guess how much they cost? Nothing. Wow. But see, it's within reach. Now, the key is, who's going to reach? There's a simple Bible phrase, and I'm an amateur on the Bible, but here's what it says: if you search, you will find. But it's very important to know that finding is reserved for the searchers. We don't find what we need, we find what we search for. Needing is not the prerequisite to getting value. You can't be a needer, you have to be a searcher. But if you'll search, if you'll try, if you'll go, if you'll listen, ideas are within reach. And ideas are life-changing. There's nothing so powerful as an idea whose time has come. A business idea, a social idea, an investment idea, good health idea. All you need is just the refinement of an idea to make an impact on your life. Gather treasure, gather equity, gather wealth. Because it doesn't take much to make a significant difference as the time passes. You might draw a little circle. This is where you are. 10 years from now you could be here, or 10 years from now you could be here. And the difference in 10 years between here and here could be significant in money and lifestyle, treasures, equity. In 10 years, an incredible difference. But right here, a small difference in the change of discipline, the change of thinking to start you on this journey versus this journey. Now, it's also very important intellectually to know whether or not you're headed this way or this way. And once you decide, 10 years from now, I think that the gathering of my intellectual and personal and spiritual and moral and economic treasure may not be that great, the key is to start right now making these changes to walk this new road. But here's what's exciting to me. Just a few daily disciplines makes a great deal of difference in 1 year, 3 years, 5 years. Just a few daily disciplines. And that's what I'd like to talk about in this series, just these few daily disciplines that make the difference, whether you wind up here or here. Good question. 10 years from now, you will surely arrive. The question is, where? We don't want to kid ourselves about where. We don't want to kid ourselves about the road we're walking. I had a day shortly after I met Mr. Schoaf called "Do Not Kid Myself Anymore" Day. I don't want to go disillusioned anymore. You know, I was using the cross-finger theory back when I was 25, 24, 23. I finally decided that the cross-finger theory was not going to get me what I wanted. That isn't where the treasure lies. That I'm going to have to make sure which of these ways I'm headed. But a few reading disciplines and a few disciplines of mind and a few disciplines of activity, and you can make all the difference in the world whether you wind up here or whether you wind up here. Okay, but just a few changes. Sometimes we get the idea that we're doing about 10% and there's about 90% more that we need in order to make the difference for our fortune. And probably the opposite is true, right? We're doing enough things to have arrived here today. We're doing enough things to have bought and shared in the good life so far. And maybe all you need is that extra 5%, 10% of intellectual change, activity change, a refinement of discipline, a refinement of thought. And all we need is the ideas to make those simple changes. And the equity starts gathering in 1 year, 3 years, 5 years, 10 years. I have a good comment for your notes. Now's the time to fix the next 10 years. Now's the time to fix it. Now, sometimes you have to come to grips with reality and with truth. That's what was good for me when I met Mr. Schoaf. I was 25 years old. He was 44 years old. And he brought me a wealth of experience, and he started asking me the tough questions. Big question, he said, are you reading the books that's going to take you where you want to go in the next 5 years? Excellent question. So you want to make sure. I would assume for all of you, to get where you want to be in the next 5 years, you're either reading the right books or you're not. That's kind of a brilliant statement, right? You're either engaged in the disciplines or you're not. But here's what we don't want to engage in. Disillusion, right? Hoping without acting. You know, wishing without doing. So the key is to take a look and say, where am I? What could I do to make the changes, to make sure that I can take more certain daily steps toward the treasure I want, the mental treasure, the personal treasure, the spiritual treasure, the financial treasure. I don't want to make any errors. Now's the time to adjust my daily program to take me where I want to go. So hopefully I'll have some ideas to share with you that might help make just a few adjustments. And in lecturing for especially the last 16, 18 years, I've got some letters and some personal testimonies of people that have done such remarkable things with just a few suggestions that it is worth taking the time. And that's what I'm here for. To do a little coaching. A good note for you to take. We could all use a little coaching. When you're playing the game, it's sometimes hard to see it all. And if you just take a breather, take a little time out. That's what we're doing here in this lecture series. Take a little time out. Listen to someone's experiences, which is what I want to share with you. My experiences, my ideas. And see if it might cause for you a little moment of correction so that you can make some changes that'll add up to some extra worth in the next 1 year, 3 years, 5 years. So, ideas, I hope you'll find here during this series. All kinds of ideas, health ideas, enterprise ideas, living the better life ideas, and primarily for this series, skills of leadership ideas. The next key word is inspiration. Hopefully you'll find some inspiration from this series. Inspiration is a mystery, why some people are inspired and some are not. Who knows what that mystery is? Emotional vitality. Some people have this incredible zest for life and an appetite for living well and doing well, and others seem to take the ho-hum attitude, let it slide, and hopefully it'll work out anyway. I don't know what the difference of that is. But it is exciting to watch people who are inspired. But I think the key to it all is self-motivation. Self-motivation. The guy says, boy, if somebody just come by and turn me on, hey, what if they don't show up, right? You got to have a better plan for your life. Personal inspiration, drawing emotional vitality from life and the challenge, going for it. We all admire that. Hopefully you'll find some of that as we study together. And here's what I hope you'll find also during this series. Guidelines for translating response into results. I just want to share with you some of my insights, some of my experiences. I belong to a group that does business around the world. We've discovered a lot of ways and means, methods, and ideas. I just want to share that with you from my own experiences and hope that it will serve as guidelines. But I'd like for the guidelines to translate response into results. Now, just a personal word. I don't know where I've caught you in this particular lecture series. Maybe this is springtime for you. You've got a new opportunity going and no telling what you're going to make of it, and you're all excited. I congratulate you for that. Maybe some of you, we've caught you in harvest time. If we knew your story, we'd let you give this lecture. I'd be happy to sit down, let you translate to us your story and your experiences and your success. Maybe you're celebrating, and maybe this series of lectures I've come along has caught you celebrating. Maybe this is summertime for you, when sometimes the going is tough, and the weeds are attacking your garden, and the bugs are after your values. Summertime is an interesting time. It's not that easy to last from spring till fall. Summer's a test, and especially when the creditors are calling. We have a tendency to walk out in the field and say, "Grow, crop, grow." They are on me. So I don't know, maybe we've caught you in a testing time. Maybe this is challenging time for you, the summertime. Maybe I've caught you in winter. And I'm sure we've all had some of those winter times, sort of desperate times, decision-making times. Maybe I've caught you in this series at the fork of the road, and some of the decisions you make in the immediate future are going to have everything to do with your next 5 years, 10 years. And I've been to a few of those called forks in the road. I mean, which way do you go? What do you select now as your next path of opportunity? And maybe these are trying times for you. Winter can be a source of trial when the push is on and the press is on. So I don't know where I've caught you, but whatever season I've caught you in, I want to bring you value. That's my intent. And to get the most from this series, let me give you just a quick list. Here's number one, be thankful. I think first of all, to get more, we need to just be thankful for what we already have, especially living in this unbelievable country. In America, we call somebody poor that makes $10,000 a year. I'm sure the rest of the world would find that hard to imagine. Say, why would you call somebody poor that makes $10,000? Say, I don't know. We're such a rich, fabulous country. It's unbelievable. In Bangladesh, the average income is $95 a year. So I'm sure they would find it strange that people would attend lectures on how to do better when probably we're doing better than almost anybody else in the world. I gave a lecture one weekend at our ranch in Clear Lake, California. Nice group of people. I get there a little bit before the Friday evening session, and I can't believe the parking area. Eldorados and Continentals and Mercedes and Ferraris and one Rolls Royce. Unbelievable. And I walk in, and here's this good-looking crowd. And my opening remarks were, ladies and gentlemen, I think the rest of the world would find it strange that we have all come here this weekend to try to figure out how to do better. Surely the rest of the world would say, I don't understand. The man in his Rolls Royce saying, I got to get to the seminar. Find out how to get another one of these. Incredible. But here we are, right? Probably doing well. But let's be thankful for where we are, because that's how good ideas start to flow. Thanksgiving for what you've already got. Here's what blocks the flow of all good information: cynicism. It's not that difficult to be a practiced cynic. Feeling cynical about circumstances, cynical about place, cynical about opportunities, cynical about people. But if we turn that around, turn cynicism into thanksgiving, now the ideas can flow, information can flow, refinement of ideas can flow. So that's number one, be thankful. Here's number two, be eager to learn. No matter what you know, there's always some more. Another point I'd like to make is argue later with all the stuff I'm going to share with you in this series. I wish we had time to argue it all out here, but we just don't have the time. I do like that format. There's nothing like a good, powerful discussion to refine an idea. What we want is ideas that pass the test of the tough questions. And it's good to be around people who can ask the tough questions. Debate has a unique way of refining ideas that can become of value. And if we had time to argue and debate all this stuff I'm going to share with you, I would find that beneficial, but unfortunately we don't. But here's what I ask you to do. Argue with all this stuff later. Go back over your notes and relive the experience and think about what we've shared with you here. The key is to stimulate the mind. to think thoughts and to think ideas, to open up channels of information. Refinement of intellect is where the future fortune lies. But be eager to learn. And the last comment is, be a good listener, which isn't easy these days. Everybody wants our attention. Radio voices and television voices and advertising voices and political voices and social voices and religious voices and community voices and family voices. And how do you sort through all the voices and give extra time to a voice of substance? It isn't easy. But if you'll practice the art of good listening, no telling what you can find in the way of ideas that can help change your life. All right, that's enough in preliminaries. Let me just give you the 5 major pieces to the life puzzle. Somebody asked me not too long ago if somebody needed help, could you categorize where they may need help into some simple steps? And I said, I think I can. And here's what I came up with, the 5 major pieces to the life puzzle. If we all need some help, here's probably where it's going to fall, in one of these 5 pieces. And I'm sure you can guess what they are. Number 1's philosophy. Philosophy is simply what you know. Now, to correct a couple of old cliches, what you don't know will hurt you. And to correct another one, ignorance is not bliss. Boy, it's so important to have the correct philosophy. It's so important to know. Philosophy sets the course of your life. It is the major piece in the 5 major pieces of the life puzzle. This is called major. Now, some things are minor. Some things don't affect your life that much. But here are 5 areas that affect our life immensely. Philosophy is simply what you know. So it's important to know. I'm telling the kids these days, make sure you get the information while you're here. I'm talking to the Newport Harbor high school kids in some lectures last year and this year. And my encouragement is, make sure you get all the information while you're here. I know it's laborious. I know it isn't easy to read the books and take the classes and try to get good grades. But hey, while you're here, gather it all up. Right? Because there's nothing worse than being stupid, right? Being broke is bad, but being stupid is what's awful. And what's really bad is being broke and stupid, right? There's nothing much worse than that. Unless you're sick. Sick, broke, and stupid, right? We would call that the ultimate low. I don't know anything much worse than that. Well, maybe one more. Ugly, sick, broke, and stupid. So to correct all that, here's number 1. You've just got to know, because what you don't know will affect your economic future the next 3 years, 5 years. The book you miss will make a difference. Right? The information you don't get will make a difference in the legacy of your equities over the next few months, the next few years. So philosophy, this is where it all begins. Now, I've divided philosophy into 3 parts. 1 is basic, starting out philosophy. The baby starts processing information right away. Cold is bad, warm is good, hungry is awful, food is terrific. The baby starts reacting and processing information and having certain reactions to it. So our philosophy starts early, gathering information and reacting to it. Next is expanded philosophy. At least enough philosophy to be gainfully employed and offer a value to society and find your place in the marketplace. You know, be a reasonable, decent human being. Expanded philosophy. But now how do you become wealthy and powerful and sophisticated, influential and unique? Simple word, refined philosophy. The refinement of philosophy. The extra studies and the extra books and the extra classes and the extra thinking, the extra pondering, the extra give and take of testing ideas and debate and discussion. That's where the extra life comes from, is in the dimensions of refined philosophy, the extra thinking. And these are the steps of intellectual discovery that a lot of people just don't want to take, or they're too busy to take it, or it presents itself in too strong and tough a manner, these extra skills. But I'm telling you, once you start engaging in these extra skills, you won't ever want to go back. This new intellectual discovery is where the wealth is. It's where the happiness is, the good life, influence, power. Refinement of philosophy. Now, our philosophy comes from a lot of places. Let me give it to you. Number 1, from teaching, the influence of others, from the books we read, from the classes we take, And you might underline the word influence. This is where a big share of our philosophy comes from. Influence. In another series, we asked 3 major questions. Who am I around? That's called big questions. Some questions are little and some are big. This is a big one. Who am I around? Question number 2, what are they doing to me? This is called major. This is called big. Where have they got me going? What have they got me reading? What have they got me thinking? What have they got me saying? And the big biggie, what have they got me becoming? Influence plays a major role in the development of our philosophy. How we think, how we speak, the formulation of ideas, the things we weigh concerning values. All of this is so important. What we know, the mind, thinking, processing ideas and information. Ideas are simply information taking form. But this whole process of mind and thinking and knowing and processing ideas and information, this is so important because it determines the major piece of the 5 pieces of the life puzzle, philosophy. Now, we do something very important with what we know. We weigh it. We put it on our mental scales and we weigh it. And I don't know, we may give it a number from 1 to 10. Probably not consciously. But if we hear something and we come into possession of some information and we give it a 10, we'll probably act on it right away. If we give it a 1, we'll probably let it slide. If it's important, we'll do something about it. If we don't think it's important, we'll probably let it go. But it's so important to evaluate. A key word we learn in leadership skill training, perception. Trying to find value in something. Where is the value? How valuable is it? How important is it? Is there something here that I can't see at first glance? Is there something below the surface? Is there something in the inner workings of it? What goes behind it? What goes beyond it? What is its origin? All of these questions that help us come to the perception of value, ideas, evaluating information. Now here's what's important, to have a good set of mental scales. What if in processing information your mental scales were off? And you weighed everything a little wrong? Do you think that would affect your life? The answer is, of course. And all you got to be is a little off for 10 years. And you can imagine what the difference is. I got a key phrase for you. Life accumulates. We either accumulate the debt or the value. We either accumulate the regret or we accumulate the equity. Now, we must all suffer one of 2 pains. The pain of discipline or the pain of regret. And I'm suggesting discipline. Mental discipline to refine ideas. Of course it's laborious and of course it's a push, but it's called small price to pay so that you won't have the regret later on. Regret weighs tons. Discipline weighs ounces. So if you accept the early ounces of discipline of thought to refine ideas and not just let major questions go by, what about society? What about the government? What about taxes? What about religion? What about life? What about capital? What about business? What about society? All of these major questions. What about my life and my value and my place and my future? And what about life? What about origin? What about destiny? What about opportunity? What about possibility? All of these major questions, to let them go casually by is to miss the treasures that your life could accumulate into in the coming months, the coming years. So this is called major. What we ponder and what we think about sets the course of our life. It's like the set of the sail that's taking us somewhere. Let me give you a good question to write down. Where are my thoughts taking me? This is a biggie question. Where are my thoughts taking me? These are some of the things you want to make sure of. You might be able to be casual about some things, but here's some things not to be casual about. My philosophy is taking me somewhere. Big question, where? The accumulation of equity will either be there or won't be there. Life accumulates. And I'm either accumulating debt that I'll be sorry for, or I'm accumulating value that I'll be happy about. Okay, philosophy. The first major piece in the 5 major pieces